Hey guys, it has been a mess today. I don't know how many times the on a cell phone. And I'm sure it's still scary, but not really scary. Hey, you guys, come on in. Tell us where you're from. So, if we haven't met, I'm Karen Mayer, Cunningham Special Education Boss, training everyone that sits at the 504 IEP table to navigate and negotiate successful student outcomes. And tonight we're here to answer your questions. So just type them in the chat. We will read them and answer them as quickly as possible so that we can get you guys fully trained to be special education bosses. We have Special Education Academy that is every Monday night at 8 p.m. Central, where we train on federal law and state statutes, the letter of the law, the application of the law. We would love for you to join us in the academy so that you can have weekly professional development. All right, girls and boys, I'm ready.
Okay. Yep, I can tell you're ready, boss, but some of our viewers aren't because they haven't asked us anything just yet.
Ask me. Oh, I got our gift. Oh, thank you for the gift.
You got a gift. Yay. Okay.
Are we going to make it till the end of the year?
I don't know.
I don't know. It gets a little bumpy at this point. March Madness, April Fools, and mayhem.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I just don't.
Yeah, let's finish the meeting.
Go?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
I had somebody tell me today that a student didn't qualify for a goal. You don't want to know what I said because it wasn't very nice. It was accurate, but it wasn't nice. So.
How do you not qualify for a goal?
Because she said so. And then she said, and we have to end in disagreement. I was like, yeah. Bless her heart.
Oh.
Bless her
and
heart.
Shannon says she loves your blazer.
Thank you. It's not from Talbot's. It's Anne Klein.
Oh, is it now?
Yeah.
Oh, cheating on Talbot's, are you?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. All right. Come on, people. Send in your questions.
Stephanie, you ask a question.
Have you had any fun in Texas lately?
I have fun everywhere. I got in 4 state complaints this weekend. I just like sending those on the weekend so that the special ed director gets to open them. Enjoy your time off. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And when are we going to be having our next live, boss?
Our live in person is going to be June 7th and 8th or July 19th and 20th, just outside of Orlando in Florida. So that's filling up fast. So you need to get there. You need to get there. Somebody said, Where are you based out of? I am based out of Houston, Texas.
Yes. Did you see what happened in Houston today on the highway?
No.
The cattle farmer was going and something happened to his truck and all the steer got out. So they were running all around. And they had to close down the road.
We close down highways here for animals.
Okay. So Mason has a question. And it is, what are the criteria for LRE?
I mean, it's not about criteria. So LRE is a conversation, a consideration, not a location. So we are to look at the student's unique circumstances across settings and think about the best place to get the most gains on their IEP goals based on setting.
Okay. And how can I get an aide on the bus with my child?
There already is an aide on the bus. There's one aide on the bus.
Okay. Somebody's asking if you wanted to give thoughts on the Department of Education breakoff. And also, thank you for all your insight and helping during my IEP meeting.
So you probably don't want to know my insights, but you know what? I'm going to give them to you anyway. I don't have any insights, but the Department of Education was put in place in '79 by President Carter. Doesn't pay any teachers, doesn't train any teachers. It doesn't get research to teachers. Only about 6 to 12% of funds come from the federal government to the states. So what I'm hearing from states is that they would be very excited about having that opportunity to fully implement education solely at the state level. There's nobody at the Department of Education that I can call and somebody's in trouble. I think they're a great entity. I think it has a good intention, but thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of employees there. There are 13 entities under the Department of Education. So it's my understanding, and I don't know anything, that they will be moved to other entities. So the Department of Justice, HHS, those sorts of things. So all federal acts and congressional acts stay in place. They don't go anywhere. We will still have civil rights. We will still have Title I. We will still have IDEA. But I, along with a lot of other parents and advocates, can be frustrated that the Department of Education doesn't really have any reach to states in regards to implementation of special education. For 504, somebody said, now we're not funding 504. Let me tell you something, love. 504 has never been funded. There's no funding to not violate civil rights, so that's not a thing.
Okay. Miss Melissa wants to know, what should she do if a resource teacher who's a colleague won't give progress on goals?
So if she's a colleague, I mean, all you can do is your job. You know, you're not there to police other employees. Hopefully they have enough fortitude, ethics, and morale to do the right thing. But I mean, I certainly wouldn't want you to put your job in play. And you know, in play, you can always drop, you know, a couple of marbles in their gas tank. And maybe that will trigger their thoughts to give progress reports. That's just from a friend of mine, Elena. She's very silly. We don't sell marbles that go in gas tanks on our merchandise. Did y'all see my merchandise that I had on? Did y'all see my shirt? I like.
No, I didn't.
You didn't? I like big plaffs, and I cannot lie.
Yes, that I've seen.
I feel like you need to wear that to your next meeting.
You're gonna ask me what it stands for.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi there. I'm in Illinois. My kid has dyslexia and ADD. Her IEP was taken away. Now they're retesting for OHI. What do I do?
So we don't test for an eligibility. We do a comprehensive assessment. So you want to make sure that if you're getting new testing, that it's in all 8 areas, to include but not limited to speech, to include pragmatics, medical, physical, sociological, full cognitive evaluation with all 7 Gs, full achievement with reading, writing, math, oral expression, listening comprehension, formal adaptive behavior, full psychological evaluation, and all related instructional services under IDEA. When you narrow your scope, you narrow opportunities for the student.
Okay. What do you do if your admin and special ed coordinator refuse to implement the IEP?
Come train with us, and we'll teach you to be a special education advocate. You know, you can't change people that are unqualified for the job that they've taken. There are so many amazing people in special education that myself and my partners get to work with every day. But there's a few banana heads who should be, I don't know, pushed off the back of a turnip truck, that shouldn't be shouldn't be around children, period. And they've been in these positions where they hold all the keys to the kingdom, and it's just awful.
Should the SPED director have to sign off on an ARC being scheduled to discuss LRE from an alternate school to regular school?
Sounds like we're in Kentucky. I mean, we have. Here's the deals. Schools take stuff simple and they complicate it. Why? I don't know. I think it makes them feel important. Just get to the table and talk about the students' needs.
Exactly.
Yeah, and uncomplicate it.
Uncomplicated. Okay. Wouldn't ADD automatically qualify my child for an OHI IEP?
Nothing's automatic. So you could have a disability and have one of 3 outcomes. After testing, your disability doesn't need additional support at school. After testing, your student needs a 504 plan with accommodations. After additional testing, your student needs an IEP. So it depends on the acuity. And the question is this disability impacting the student's educational access?
Okay. Have you seen the proposed bill in Oklahoma regarding removing many related services such as speech?
Yep, it was pulled. It's redonkulous. It was redonkulous, but the last I heard, it was pulled. You have to remember, there are a million bills that go to state floors and the federal floor that we never hear about. So you can log on to your state's website, you can log on to your federal website and see all the bills that are put forth. Very little of them ever get even talked about, debated, considered, and then proposed to be voted on.
Wow. Sometimes you just can't believe what you're hearing. Okay. So what would happen to the OCR office, if anything?
So the Office of Civil Rights will be under a department. We, and when I say we, me and some of my amazing friends in leadership and education, who are really child-centered, have wanted and hoped for years that the Office of Civil Rights was under the Department of Justice, because then we can get in there and we can handle it like a wrecking ball. Yeah, because it's a justice issue when you're denied your civil rights.
Okay. I am a case manager, and my client's mother informed me that the school has been canceling the IEP meetings. How do I get that to stop?
I'm greatly concerned that you're canceling IEP meetings when we need to talk about the students' needs. We look forward to having our next meeting without it being canceled. Buttercup.
There you go. Direct and to the point. What are your thoughts on push-in speech?
If that's appropriate, if you're in ECSC, Early Childhood Special Education, literally everybody in there has speech. If you're working on a social pragmatic, that might be appropriate. So it's about where you're going to get the most gains. If you're trying to maybe use a second VOC device with peers and or staff members and increase that reciprocal communication on an augmentative communication device, that might be appropriate.
All right. If parents reject placement, where does the student receive IEP goals? When the LEA puts forth a proposal and the parents disagree, then you're charged with providing them an invitation to reconvene. If they disagree the second time, all states will defer to the LEA's recommendation, and that becomes the placement. And then if you don't agree with that placement, I would use your 5 days to find representation and file due process to put a stay put in place. My son just said in the IEP school setting, but they didn't explain. Sorry, that was just a comment. How do you feel about online school for my sped son?
I don't feel good about online school for anybody. So as somebody that takes a ton of training, just looking at a computer is so bad for all of us. The American Pediatric Association has said for decades, a minor should not look at a screen for more than 60 minutes a day. Do you think your minor is looking at a screen for more than 60 minutes a day? It totally impacts the development of their frontal lobe. So, when you're on computers all day, or you're in events, or me or my advocates are in mediations, which go on for hours, we literally get off and our eyes are burning. There's so much that's going on behind the screen. And it's a higher cognitive load. So I don't know if I said in the beginning, Did I say that?
You did. Yep.
Or as my grandma would say, No,
That's
kids need to be in school.
Yes. How much does it cost to become a special education advocate through you?
How much does it cost? It doesn't cost anything. But you'll have to invest your heart, time, and finances to develop your skills to become an amazing advocate. So, of course, we put out 52 pieces of free content every day across 7 platforms. Avail yourself of that. We have thousands and thousands of videos with me in several different outfits. And some of them, I don't know what I was thinking. We have very low entry of training for $97 a month. You can join the academy. That's where we really build community. It's such a great community because it's mostly educators and parents, and we are all on the same team, Team Kiddo. We resource, and we really get to become a family. Then most people take the 2-day training, which is available immediately on demand. And then we have 2-day in-persons that are coming up in the summer. And then we are now, in the next couple of weeks, going to put the mastermind online. So all of you fancy pants kids can take the mastermind. There's nothing better out there. If there was, I would take it. It's the premier special education advocate training, and we're all advocates no matter how we sit at the table. So we would love to train you in whatever way you're ready to get started.
thoughts on dyslexia falling under SLD and not recognized individually?
Well, dyslexia has always been an SLD, love. Go to the Dyslexia Association of America. We've only had goofy states mess it up. So there are 4 specific learning disabilities in the area of reading. One is dyslexia, but you could also have a student that meets eligibility for the other 3, basic reading, reading fluency, reading comprehension, and not have dyslexia. So I think dyslexia, unfortunately, has become a very sexy word, and we think everybody is dyslexic, and they're not. But we need to pin down which of the 9 SLDs that they have so we can provide them specially designed instruction. Was that funny, girls? What were you guys?
Yes.
Sexy.
Rachel.
I'm sexy
Yeah.
and dyslexic. Yeah. I'm dyslexic and I know it. Yeah. What is amazing about kiddos that have specific learning disabilities, any of them, you won't find a harder worker ever because they haven't had to work for everything.
Yes, ma'am, they do. And Kaylee Joy says your blazer is beautiful.
Thank you. Orange, you glad I wore it? Ba-dum-bum. Sorry, I'll be here all night. Do you get it? Orange, you glad I wore it?
I am. What could happen if when I was on leave, my director, who said she would, didn't write or hold a meeting?
I would be thankful that I work for somebody who's honest. I mean, she's probably left you a big mess, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Is a PCA a one-to-one?
A PCA? I don't know what a PCA is. If your student needs full-time support from adult for their safety or the safety of others, that's called a bunch of different things in school districts. I am not a fan of a para for a student full-time. I certainly think there are times that we can fade that support. I think it teaches learned dependency and really skews the data. But if your student, you believe, rises to the level of needing a full-time para or an aide, it's called something different in every state.
Okay. Are special education directors allowed to predetermine manifestation determinations?
Well, that would be a crime. That would be a violation of your procedural rights and safeguards. We are charged with always coming together as committee, whatever the meeting is, and looking at the totality of the data, everybody's input, and then making an informed decision. So I would say, oh, no, that's going to be a no for me. Or I would say, what brings you to this meeting, sweetie? Don't you have other things to do? Like, don't you have like some ribbons to cut, some football fields to bless, something like that? I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it out loud, but sometimes my face says stuff. My kids, when we go out to eat, are like, Mom, your face. I'm like, sorry. My face, I would be a terrible poker player.
Okay. This one I'm not quite sure I understand, but I'll read it out. What happens if a child is awarded conspiracy?
Compensatory.
No? I know compensatory.
Let's go with compensatory. Let's switch it out.
Okay.
Well, if they're, hopefully they're not awarded a conspiracy unless their name is Steven Spielberg. So if you're awarded compensatory, that would be for relief. Then you negotiate a time that's appropriate for the student to receive those hours. If it's conspiracy, we're right there with you.
Okay. My child is in New Caney ISD.
New Caney. They've got a very good fried chicken place right there when you exit for Porter.
Oh, do they?
We know we fry animals here in Texas. All kinds of animals. Pets, livestock. You got a pet, we will fry it.
You'll fry it.
Yeah.
Hope it's not roadkill that you fry.
No, because it's already, that's, who knows how long that's been there. We like fresh,
Exactly.
We like fresh animals.
Well, Jane is from there, and she does not feel like they're supporting her child like they should be doing. What does she need to do?
She needs to get an advocate at advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. That's not surprising that that's happening to you in New Caney ISD, but we can help with that.
I am a recently retiree in Georgia. Would you recommend advocating in the system I work with or elsewhere?
Oh my goodness. DeKalb, Duluth, the Ding Dong. I mean, if you can work in Georgia, God bless you. You're probably an angel from heaven. I would recommend that you get trained to be an advocate, and they would be so glad to see you in Georgia. Yeah, Georgia is a pop quiz. So thank you for serving our kiddos, and you'd be a great advocate. The great thing about when we train you is that I have been in Montana today, I have been in Florida today, and I have been in several places in Texas today. So the blessing of the pandemic was my boys went and bought me an Ethernet cord. I'm like, I think that's witchcraft. And since then, since March 13th, 2020, I have been doing IEPs from sea to shining sea. So you can advocate anywhere. Because once you advocate for a family, they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to tell their friends, and you'll be able to serve kids nationwide.
Absolutely. So we have one poor little patriot mama. She's really upset because she filed her OCR complaint, and they were looking into it, and now her office was closed.
So your office is closed. Your filing isn't gone. So there is reformatting for higher efficiencies. I have an OCR complaint that was opened in October of 2021. We've passed that date. So we are in the process, myself and my partners, of working with people at the state government level and federal level to have conversations to bring about change so that the Office of Civil Rights runs more efficiently and they have tighter timelines.
Okay. So Celeste just wanted to let you know that watching you, she's learned so much, and thank goodness, because my daughter was taken out of district with your tools.
Oh, thank you. Good job, Celeste.
Yeah. Yep. My school says ESY only covers social, emotional, and not reading and math.
Wow. They must be in a state that doesn't have federal law. Is that Indiana? Yeah. I would say I'm certainly concerned about your misunderstanding and your forwarding that wrong information. But my child, who meets eligibility for ESY, we will do the appropriate goals that they need.
Sometimes you just can't believe what you're hearing.
Just every day. It's just every day. Is it every day, girls? It's every day. I know when I train people, they're like, oh, she's exaggerating. I'm exaggerating. What's the opposite of exaggerating? Not exaggerating. Yeah. If I really told you what happened in a day, you'd be like, oh, yeah.
Ooh. And poor Sheila, she said that the teacher denied 504 accommodations because her child, who has ADHD, couldn't focus in class.
Oh, that's so surprising that you have a neurological disability around attention and they have attention deficits. I mean, that's why I do not feel every day when I wake up a college dropout, I feel completely fine. Completely fine. Lord help us all. Imagine that, a kid with ADD that can't focus. That's really new. Wow, we should write that down.
Oh, we have another mom asking, what if a child is awarded compensatory time?
Then it has to be delivered by the people that you agreed upon. It might be people from the district. It might be it might be private providers. It might be a special educator from another campus in the district, whatever the components are. But whatever you settled on should be confidential.
Okay. Another question is it illegal to give a classification and IEP without evaluating to get students into SPED?
It's not illegal. There's nowhere in the law that says we have to test you before we start special education. In fact, we would love if people did that. Obviously, if a student comes into school and they've never been into school and they are coming into kindergarten and they have a physical disability and maybe they have cerebral palsy and they're in a wheelchair, I don't really think we have to wait, 45 business days to figure out if the student needs special education related services. Sometimes we already have the data. We need the testing for confirmation, but certainly any district, it says in 300.111 that we don't even have to list a student by a disability as long as we know that they are in need of special education related services and we provide them. So 3.111D. D is in, ta-da! I was going to say the other D, but that wouldn't have been very nice.
What happens happens when a child is awarded compensatory services but doesn't receive it and it's almost been a year?
Well, so it's not oxygen. The parent has to work with the district to find a time to deliver those minutes.
Okay. Can a student have an IEP and a 504 for the things that don't qualify in an IEP?
Well, everything in a 504 has a location in an IEP. So I don't know what you'd have in a 504 that doesn't belong in an IEP. Except for bad handwriting.
All right. The school my son is in wants him to be in school half a day because they haven't provided him with help.
Wow. I would like small hips, but that's not going to happen. So, I mean, we provide the student an IEP during the instructional day. We don't reduce their instructional day. We're charged with delivering the same educational product that we deliver other kids, whether they're disabled or not. So we don't reduce. When people tell me about these half-day things, I would be like, kung fu fighting. That's going to be a no for me.
Okay. Is it illegal to move my child to another district while having an IEP?
I mean, I don't know why your child was moved to another district. I would need more information about that. If that's where the programming is, I mean, unfortunately, there's not every kind of special ed at every campus for every child's needs.
Okay. I actually love watching you. I'm a first grade teacher from Gracie.
Oh, thank you, Gracie. Thank you for serving our kiddos. First graders, they're sticky, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Never eat a snack they provide you. Be very careful.
It's already pre-softened.
Okay, some of these...
Stephanie.
Have melted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, some of these questions are being asked, and we've already read them. All right.
I'm going to just address somebody said, can you give me a ballpark of what your advocates cost? So this is what I say. Getting an advocate's like a car repair. You might just need an air filter, and you might need a transmission. But we don't, our advocates, our team is very ethical. We don't charge people. We don't just go, oh, I'm going to do a 4-hour meeting so I can charge you more. We are efficient. We are prepared. We are ready to do our job. And we certainly work with people if they need to make payments. But, what's important is getting the child services now, because what your child won't get back is time.
Okay. Can you go over what to look for on an IEP before signing?
I mean, it's not really about what to look for before signing. It's about having those robust conversations across those critical areas, right? Evaluations, present levels, IEP progress, IEP goals, accommodations, LRE. It's about, did you have those conversations while you're crafting the document?
Are you familiar with person first language?
Yes. I am.
You are?
I are.
What is that? You are?
I mean, it's not my specialty, so I'm not going to unpack it here. But,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm a person before I have a disability, right? I'm not a Down syndrome kid. I'm not a CP kid. I'm not a behavior kid. I'm not an autistic kid. So the person is first, obviously not the disability.
Okay. When do you need to ask for a PWN?
You don't. It's like eating at a restaurant. They always bring it to you. It's a bill. So a PWN is a legal requirement from the district when they refuse or choose to do any action. So it would come at the end of every meeting.
Okay. We have our mom here. She's adding on a follow question. As her child hasn't received compensatory service in almost a year, what next steps does she need to take?
So if you have an agreed upon compensatory product, I would just reach out to the district and say, when were you going to deliver these agreed upon minutes? And then based on their answer, I would file a state complaint if they were like, just kidding, we're not doing it.
So we have somebody in Kansas and their grandson has ADHD and dyslexia, but they're not getting help with dyslexia. What should they do?
They should ask the school when the dyslexia help is going to start. When can we anticipate his dyslexia intervention to begin in the great sunflower state of Kansas? My husband and I were doing state flowers this weekend. Like, don't we have other things to do? However, you want to hear something funny? Do you want to hear something funny? Brace yourself, Rachel. I hope you don't. This is the funniest. You ready? So the state fish of Louisiana is the white crappie. I was like, oh, that must be named after my first husband. But I just thought that was so good. That's like if we voted on that, like of all the fishes, we voted on that. Anyway, the white crappie. I've never ordered that at a. Can you imagine, like, your waiter coming up? What would you like? We'll take the white crappie with some, some sauce.
Yeah. Lord only knows what'll come out. Okay. Who can serve as the LEA rep on an IEP?
Anybody that has that certification. So if you are any type of principal, then by that certification, you could be the LEA. And then in some states, there are a process through you could be the LEA rep if you are the school counselor.
Okay. If we are the private school, are referring students for special education testing to the district what we should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, anybody that believes a student is in need of special education and related testing should be referring them to their district. Okay. So I'm going to read a question that keeps coming up. So somebody said, does the parent, Christy Wood, have to agree with the initial IEP? They agreed to evaluation. They were found eligible. So the parent has to give you consent for the initial provision of special education related services. So everything in special ed is consensual based upon written agreement from the parent of the student.
Okay. What if a gen ed teacher complains and tells the IEP provider to change their progress note on the data?
I would say, are you comfortable fraudulently completing a legal document like that?
What is your opinion about ED schools, meaning emotional disturbance?
I mean, I think there's great schools that have great specificity, right? There are schools for students that go to deaf co-ops. There are schools for kiddos that have, cognitive impairments. There are schools for kiddos that are needing therapeutic because they're medically fragile. So I think that's great that we have opportunities for students with acute needs.
What can I do if my child's suspensions are not correctly documented?
Say, where's my paper? Show me the paperwork.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Always get it. Can a child with an IEP stay in regular education throughout the day?
And they can stay anywhere that's appropriate. It's not about staying in. It's about, is it appropriate? I think often we have kids stay in a setting for very bizarre reasons, whether it's special ed, alternate settings, inclusion. We only have them in a setting because it's appropriate. And the only way you know it's appropriate is because you've robustly looked at the student's unique circumstances.
Bob wants to know, with the talking of removing 504 protection, should parents be worried?
A lot of talking, Bob. A lot of talking. I've never heard that. You can't remove the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. So, if you heard it online, the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 are legal for protections for individuals between 3 and 153 in America. So, this is not like hair color. We're not removing congressional acts.
That's right. And we have a message from Hunter about Shannon. He says, we hired Shannon and we love her.
She's ridiculously amazing, isn't she?
She is.
Yeah, we love Shannon.
Yes, we do. Okay. And Bethany, an SLP, says, I'm an SLP here and I'm learning so much being here. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good. We love that.
Can a school go from 250 minutes per subject to 30 minutes per day for a change of placement because of behavior?
If that's appropriate.
Yes, ma'am. What happens if my director never did my progress reports while I was on leave?
Then they're waiting for you. Yeah, like when you go on vacation and forget to take out the fish from the regular refrigerator. It's just waiting for you.
Do we have to provide a child with a one-on-one if the data doesn't support it?
You would never give a child anything without the data supporting it. And listen, just because the data supported a one-on-one and now they don't, that's good news, right? That's what we want, folks. We want to deliver special education related services and fade that because of the efficacy of it.
Okay. What's happening? Yeah, let's try that again. What's happening at 8 o'clock Central Time?
Oh my gosh, we have the most amazing special guest tonight on Special Education Academy. You don't want to miss it.
Oh, I can't wait. You gonna tell us or gonna make me guess?
No, I'm gonna make you guess.
Oh, I'll definitely be there.
Yeah, she's
Definitely.
amazing. She's in and out of DC all the time. You probably can ask her all these questions. She probably has the answer to all of them. Yeah,
Okay.
she can tell you how to not bite somebody on a school board. Well, so far, I don't know that that's going to always be the truth, but yeah.
Okay. Who decides whether your child goes into a TLC or a SLCA classroom?
The committee decides what's appropriate for the student to make appropriate gains and enable them to make progress. So it's never a decision in isolation.
What does a school need to have a functional life skills program?
Almost every campus has a life skills program. Almost every campus.
All right. How can I find out more about being an advocate?
I mean, you can join us on Special Education Academy. And certainly the next step is the 2-day intensive. It will rock your world for normal. And then the mastermind.
Absolutely. Can the related service team discuss students of concern without the case managers or teachers there?
I mean, you can discuss any special needs student with somebody else that can give you information related to their needs. So that's what we say at the beginning of the meeting. These, their information is confidential, only to be shared with other people that have an educational need to know. So certainly I can imagine related service providers discussing their students and their therapies and their outcomes.
Okay. Now, this is part of a question. My son has ADHD and trouble finishing his work in time and can't advocate for himself. He has a 504, but the school, and it stops there. I was going to say the school doesn't follow the 504 maybe?
Here's the deal. I'm not a fan of a 504. I would be hard-pressed in 28 years to find a student who has a found disability that wasn't in need of specially designed instruction. You have a child in a 504 who is not finishing. There's a reason for that. There's a myriad of reasons for that. So I'm not a fan of a 504 as an educational plan because it's not an educational plan. So if my student was struggling on the 504, I would ask for a full evaluation.
I am a RSP teacher, and my district pulls me to cover other positions and cancels my group. Any help?
I mean, if you have a teachers union, you can reach out to them. But, when you have a leadership that's doing things that's, unethical, that's actually violating your own licensure.
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay to switch school districts while IEEs are pending?
Well, I don't know why you would switch school districts. I mean, if you switch a school district, the last district is no longer required to do the IEE.
Okay. How to determine if pre-kindergarten inclusion is better for a student or ECSE?
ECSE all day long. I don't know how much inclusion we need with other 4-year-olds. I don't know why that's some great holy grail. I think you'll be surprised at the needs of the other 4-year-olds that are in general ed.
My grandson's school wants him to have a behavioral assessment. Should I allow this?
Yeah. Anytime that there's a need brought up by the committee, we should take that need seriously and address it.
My child has dyslexia, but the dyslexia teacher never shows up for meeting and just sends data. Is that allowed?
So we'll just wait till Miss Dyslexia logs on. So whether she's in her bathtub, a balcony, or a beach, we'll wait for her to log on. Yeah. Yeah, we don't do that.
And here's somebody who was a bit disappointed that her child got kicked out of a private school because he needed an IEP.
Yeah, I mean, private schools don't have the hands to serve kiddos with disabilities.
Can a Montessori school turn a child with an IEP away because it's no longer working now in 4th grade?
Yep. Only public schools that receive federal funding are required to take all students. Only.
What if the IEE comes back as autism, but yet the district wants to place him under ED?
So here's the question. What are the services that you're wanting? So a lot of times we die on an eligibility. And eligibility just says one thing. They open the door for services. So if I don't agree with the eligibility, but I agree with the services, then that's fine.
Can the school change the classroom for my child with 8 weeks left to school without holding IEPs?
What do you mean change the classroom? So is she in, Miss Rodriguez math class and now we're sending over to Miss Modern's math class? They don't have to notify you. If they're changing his placement, i.e. he was in a general ed class and they put him in a special ed class or vice versa, that requires a meeting.
Okay, hold on. My district uses pre-referral process for teachers, but regularly refuse to refer to CST. Any advice?
Yeah, that it happens nationwide. It happens everywhere. It's illegal. It's completely illegal. January 2011, OSEP, the Office of Special Education Programs, put out a very specific letter that we shouldn't be doing that. There's no pre-anything under the federal law, which is why you should know the federal law. You should get a copy of the federal law. You should put it on your dashboard when you're ordering at Chick-fil-A. As my grandson says, Chick-fil-A. So this is the federal code. This is 34 CFR, volume 2 of 4. This is the federal law. It's not a federal option. It's not a salad bar. It's not up to you. These are requirements, not suggestions. So this is in the link above. You can get it at Special Education Academy, but get your copy. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find any copies of these in public schools. It's amazing. We've got copies of football plans. And I love a good football plan, but that doesn't help you if you can't read. Somebody said, what about when all the federal funding is taken away? I haven't heard anybody say anything about funding being taken away. I think that we're running with a lot of fear that's online. Nobody took any federal funding away. Nobody said they were going to take any federal funding away.
Nope.
Mm-mm. The blazer, I don't know if people love the blazer. Who knows? Is it that I look tan? Because I'm usually see-through.
You absolutely look tan, yes.
I think bronze is the word we're looking for. They'll probably not be. Are you Elena? Are you Karen? Yeah. Elena gets chocolate in the summer, and I'm in my sweatshirt in the car. Yeah.
Yes. The odd couple.
We are the odd couple. It's time. Oh, I like that.
Thank you, Miss Rachel.
Rachel's so good.
In my place.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask one more question.
Okay.
I requested data and test results 45 days ago for my son's IEP review and no response. What do I do next?
Well, you don't ask once. So I just keep asking until people respond. I think that all of you have a condition called NICE. NICE is not clear. Brene Brown. To be clear is to be kind. So if you were on fire and you knocked on the door for water and nobody answered, would you just stand in the front yard and burn? No, you'd keep knocking on doors. So y'all have to be a little quicker about, I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to ask the next day. I'm going to ask the next day. The squeaky wheel gets to oil. I am often oiled. So if you didn't get a response, I always say to not respond is to yell. So I don't get to be yelled at by not responding. I'm just going to assume that Rachel didn't get my email, so I'm going to send it again. And then after that, I'm going to start calling the district level, letting them know that my civil rights are being violated. So there's that. Okay, so we love you guys. If you need something, let us know. Advocate@specialeducationacademy.com. Remember, we get it right for the child. We get it right for everybody. We'll see you June 7th and 8th or July 19th and 20th in person right outside of Orlando. We're very excited about that. It's going to be fun, fun, fun till Stephanie takes the Uber away, or I don't know, or the Lyft. So love you guys. If you need something, let us know. Remember, we get it right for the child. We get it right for everybody. We'll see you in the next training.